Mute.
Is my video black on you guys' end?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Why am I under Cody Bridges?
No, I might be black for this meeting then, because I don't know. I have my video on, it's not working correctly though.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Mute. And I'm under Cody Bridges. Julie, do you see that?
I do. I don't know why that's saying that. It shouldn't.
I mean, that's Cody's okay. I don't mind, but
Top three buttons in the top right of your screen, you should be able to rename.
okay, gotcha. There.
Thank you, Kyle.
I will do that. Thanks, Kyle. No, it's not Mitch, Julie.
There. All right, now can you hear me?
No, I'm sorry. I can't hear you.
Oh, you lie. Mark, or is your name Mitch?
Yeah.
She's got you under Mitch, Mark.
Hey, Julie, Miles is in the audience trying to get in, it looks like.
Okay, I will promote him to panelist. So he should be able to get in now.
I had lunch with Steve. Best lunch ever. It was awesome. He asked, he said, "What's someone can I treat you to?"
Your audio is still on, Candace.
Is that good or bad?
Just heard side conversation, so
Oh,
just wanted to
Talking
double
about-
check.
okay. My granddaughter just stepped up here to get her dog. You look
Yes.
handsome tonight.
Thank you.
You're
Oh.
welcome.
Sorry, Councilmember Bridges, I just saw your text message, but I'm glad you were able to get on. It is 7 o'clock and I will call this meeting to order. Please rise for the flag salute. And Chief Terabaki, if you'll start us off.
I will do it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
Of the United States of America.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We even have a real flag this time. It's the one from City Hall. I just happened to move it over next to Darren's door for tonight. So we will start off with roll call this evening.
Councilmember Marcus,
Present.
Councilmember Cummings,
Present.
Councilmember Ansich. I don't believe I see him.
Mm-mm.
Councilmember Bridges,
Present.
Councilmember Wenzel.
Present.
And let's see.
Oh, I see a Jim with a hand up in the panelist. I don't know that, or the,
that's likely him. There was some issues with the Zoom link for a couple council members, so.
Oh, okay.
that
Yeah,
might be-
I don't think the regular council link went out to everybody.
It should have. I don't know what happened there.
I got my panelist invite.
I did too.
It may have gone to spam for some people, so yeah, I'm assuming, Jim, is that you? Yes, it is. Are we gonna be joined by Deputy Chief Lehman this evening?
I have not heard from him whether he's going to be here or not.
Okay. So we will move on to the approval of the agenda, and there is one item that we are going to strike from the agenda, and item C. And Darren, can you explain why that is?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is the negotiation of the Mill Creek multi-objective plan that we've been working on with HDR Engineering for the last month and a half now. We're close on price, but we're a little bit short on revenue, which rather than cut out some more part of the study, I have a meeting tomorrow with the Flood Authority, and we are going to be requesting additional grant funds. And so I should have this ready for you in June.
Thank you. Other than that, what is the council's pleasure on the agenda?
So moved.
I second.
It's been
Sorry.
moved by Councilmember Ansich, second by Councilmember Marcus to approve the agenda with the adjustment. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So passed. Moving on to public items, or public comments, that is, on agenda items. If there is a member of the public who would like to comment this evening, you have 3 minutes, and this is again on agenda items only. If you can raise your hand within the public, let's see. Not seeing anybody jumping up. We do have another public comment period at the end of the meeting as well. Don't see anybody jumping in. So we'll move on to consent agenda, claims vouchers, and meeting minutes from the prior meeting with the adjustment with the corrected meeting minutes that were sent out after the original email. What's the council's pleasure?
I make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes.
Second.
I will assume that was a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented, including the meeting minutes and claims vouchers.
Thank
Correct.
you. Yes.
Moved by Councilmember Marcus, second by Councilmember Cummings. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So pass. Committee reports. We will start with Finance Subcommittee.
Yeah, this month, no meeting, no report.
Public Works,
No meeting, no report.
Public Safety,
Public safety, so this month, last week on the 10th, we met with Fire Chief Tarabakia at the fire station. Basically getting an update on where we're at currently with the volunteers and the process that we're going to be implementing on bringing on new volunteers, you know, with background checks and medical checks and things like that. And then another thing we discussed was the process to get certain items like the previously we approved the fire hoses and ladders being checked. So those were checked recently. And then we talked about the air compressor tanks being checked in the future and the finances involved around that. So it's just continuing the discussion, checking in, seeing how we're moving forward. And yeah, it was a good discussion, and look forward to, many more meetings on that.
Thank you. Parks, Rec, and Cemetery.
The department heads, myself and Miles met with Linda, to discuss the funding for the paving that she was requesting, which she believes she has outside funding for now. And then we just got an update on where they're at with park and everything they're planning on doing with all the grant funding they got.
Perfect. Thank you. Darren, did you have a chance to talk to Linda? Were we gonna hear anything from their group? I didn't know if this was a good time or if you wanted to do it within your report.
I thought I was going to introduce her during my report, or we can certainly do it now. But I would like to have an opportunity for Linda to talk about where we're at with the project and the exciting things that she's accomplished. So it's up to you.
Yeah, I feel like this is probably a good time since her ears are probably burning anyways. Why make her wait? If you see her in the in the audience there, Julie, can you pull her in? Are you with us, Linda?
Yes,
Perfect. We'd love to hear all the latest from the Friends of Highland and Cosmopolis Parks.
and I'd love to share it. We're pretty excited. So just kind of an update. On April 23rd, we had a community project. I want to again shout out to Jeff. He's been tremendous to work with, helping us when we're ready for a volunteer project like the landscaping that we did in the two corners on the Dundee side. We had about 20 volunteers that showed up, and with contributions from Northwest Rock, the Grace Harbor Ready Mix, the city also helped with the bark. We were able to complete that, and probably 1,500 from the volunteers who bought border, bought plants, bought mulch, a number of other things to complete those two landscaping projects. If you haven't been by, drive by there. It looks great. It's on the Dundee side. There's still some border that has to be put on one end. We ran out, but that was a successful project that people seem to be happy with. Gosh, there's just so much to talk about. I'll try and make this quick. So where are we at? We started this project back when I applied for the T-Mobile grant back in November of 2021. We got that $50,000 grant. And then I applied for the Community Foundation grant. Normally they're $25,000. I kind of shoot for the moon when I do these grants. And we got, for the project, we got $36,540. Recently, I reached out to through this, and I'm sorry,
Druzianich.
Thank you. Foundation made a request to him for $13,377. Within a week, I received a letter back that we were provided a check. So we did get that check. We did deposit that check into our nonprofit bank account, Friends of Highland Park and Parks of Cosmopolis. So we're up to almost $100,000. And if we count our partners, which is Cosmo, which will be providing all of the ground cover, and that's going to be probably 8 to 10 dump truck loads of chips, Northwest Rock, Bayview Ready Mix, Kasky, who is doing the benches for the park, the Friends of Highland Park, their donations. We're looking at $10,000 to $15,000 there. So that's about $110,000, $115,000. And I have it, I can't really say anything yet, but I think we're looking at another $30,000 that we're going to get in June. So we're going to be up to almost $145,000, $150,000. And with the in-kind match, the $30,000 from the city for labor, we're going to complete this project. It's going to be done. I am done writing grants for that park for the moment. I am going to be working with Stan on some downtown beautification. She'll probably talk about that at some point in time. Writing some smaller grants for that with her, but we at this point in time look like we have all the funding for the park. And if you haven't had an opportunity, I know there's a poster there in City Hall what the park will look like. There's one posted down at the post office. We are membership for volunteers for the Friends of Highland Park and the Parks of Cosmopolis. We're about 36 members now. And we really are looking at encouraging volunteerism within the community, getting involved, making a difference in this community. And the exciting part about this, even though I'm kind of done writing grants, I'll be ready to go next year to look at grants for other projects within the city. So it's been exciting and we're moving forward.
Thank you very much, Linda, and thank you for your work and the group's work on doing this. So we're happy to assist in however we can. Did I get through? Went through the council committees. So city official reports. We will start with City Administrator Rains.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I would like to request a public hearing at the June meeting for our annual 6-year arterial street plan update. So we need to set that for the June meeting. I'll talk a little bit about the AHBL agreement that's down a little bit down below here. And that is for the Shorelines Master Program update. Actually, it's a review. And that's the Shorelines Master Program that we had updated back in 2017. It's kind of hard to believe it's been that long ago already. But this is a grant from Department of Ecology for $11,200. We are partnering with cities of Aberdeen and Hoquiam to do all 3 of ours together at the same time. So later on, under new business, we'll be requesting permission for the mayor to sign the acceptance of these funds. Let's see. The Mill Creek Multi-Objective Plan, as I said earlier, that is on hold until next month. Tomorrow, I should have a good idea if we're going to receive additional funding for that. If not, I think what we're going to do is trim out a couple of the items that we were looking at as alternatives, for potential projects through this study. Right now, we know we're going to look at culverts, pumps. Another option potentially was a bypass channel, which I think is going to be pretty tough to accomplish. So I think that's the easy one to pull out and get us back within budget. I think that's all I got. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to Finance Director, Julie Pope.
Okay, first item I've got is spring cleanup, just to give you an idea of how we did this year. We had 81 vouchers that were turned into LeMays for a total of 16.2 tons of garbage, which is actually slightly down from the year before where we did 114 vouchers and 27.28 tons. Last meeting, you guys approved the MuniCode meeting software. So I wanted to give you an update on where I'm at with that. I had a meeting with them on Monday. And so we'll be starting the training and all the setup on June 1st. It should be going live in July. So I look forward to having that on the city's website so that the citizens will have a much easier time accessing the agenda, all the items that go with it, and meeting minutes and recordings for the future. And also next week, Darren and I should be viewing the first draft of the new website. So I'm anxious to see how that's coming along as well. The state auditors have contacted me. I have started uploading files to them for our latest audit. So I should be hearing from them probably August or September to get that set up. Deputy Clerk Eccles is also helping in the police department while the police clerk is out on maternity leave. So Christina is doing double duty at the moment. The annual report is due at the end of the month, which I'm working on. And last but not least, I emailed the Bank of the Pacific today. Our Macarenco Park Endowment Fund and the Fire Equipment Fund has always been kept in an investment account. But when the pandemic started and things started going sideways, the bank had called and advised us to pull it out of there and just put it into a regular account for the time being. I checked with them earlier today, and he said that now's probably a good time to move those funds back over to investments. With the Federal Reserve raising interest rates, he expects that to keep going up. So I emailed the finance subcommittee and I spoke with Darren, and they seem to think it's a good idea to go ahead and do that, but I need council permission to do so. So I'm asking the council for permission to move those funds from the regular account back into the investment style accounts.
Yeah, I'll make a motion right now to move those accounts into the investment accounts.
I'll second.
Moved by Councilmember Wenzel, and I heard Councilmember Bridges come in first on that to second that, to move those accounts back. Any discussion?
Yeah, and looking at the email, it seems like we're at a, what was it, Julia, 0.01%, and it would go to a 0.05%. Was that right?
0.55% is what it would go up to. And the Federal Reserve is going to continue raising interest rates throughout the end of this year. So I just think it's a really good time to get those moved back over. Those need to start earning some interest.
Right. Yeah. The unfortunate part of the economy the slowing down, the upside is these interest rates go up. So in this case, the small glimmer of hope is that we can get some interest back in those accounts. I know the Macarenco account we talked to about a couple weeks ago, Julie, and you know, it's basically hasn't made any interest since the pandemic started.
Yeah, nothing since the beginning of 2020, and the year before that, 2019, we were probably getting anywhere from $800 to $1,000 a month. So we really have had zero funds for Macarenco Park.
And so the important part that goes along with that is if we don't have interest money coming into that account, we essentially aren't spending anything out of that account because we only spend the interest made. Right. So any work done on Macarenco is essentially not happening.
Or it comes out of the general fund under parks maintenance.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? So passed. Anything more, Julie?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
We will move on to Fire Chief Tarabakia.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Gotcha, Chief.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here with everybody tonight. I've been working diligently at the fire station, trying to get some stuff accomplished. There's a lot of stuff that still needs to be accomplished, but we're working at it. And the most important thing is, and I know Councilmember Wenzel touched on it, is we're getting real close to bringing on a group of folks. Certainly not enough, but it will be a start. And hopefully by starting, we will get more interest and more folks will want to become involved. Having said that, there is a cost to that. And, you know, we need to do a background check on these folks. And this is to protect them as well as the city. So there's kind of a process that we need to go through. And there's a cost associated with that. But we want to do a background check. We want to do a medical physical, and there's still a couple of items that I would like to see in that medical physical. I've been in touch with a contact at a doctor in Montesano that does District 2's physicals for their volunteers, and I haven't heard back from him. I'd like to make sure that we get a baseline respiratory test done on these folks, which could include maybe a chest X-ray. These folks will be in a lot of IDLH atmospheres, and you wear SCBAs, but occasionally you'll get a whiff of that bad stuff. And we want to make sure that they're protected as well as the city if there's any existing issues with that. We also want to do a 5-panel drug screen. And District 2 does an 8-panel, but it's a lot more expensive. And I think the 5-panel will work just fine for our folks, bringing them on. And then I envision a type of in-house physical agility test to make sure that our folks are able to wear all this gear, jump up and down off the rigs, pull hose, climb ladders, that they're physically able to do that safely and to prevent injuries. So we're looking at that. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we'll have that. I need to meet with the Public Safety Committee again and talk about a couple options, and get some more detailed pricing. But I think we're getting real close to bringing a group of folks on, and I'm excited about that. One of the things that I think we'll have them do, it's pretty typical to get a driver's abstract. So we're just going to let them do that on the computer. You can get it for $13. And so we're just going to let our recruits do that and turn it in. What else do we got going here? The gals in City Hall, they sent out another flyer for volunteers. I believe we're fairly limited in the city itself to get a group of folks, a sustainable group of folks. We're allowed up to 25, I believe, and I think we're going to be really hard pressed to get that number. So I think in the near future, I'd like to push out into South Aberdeen and see what if there's any interest in that. Maybe the college, maybe there's some college kids that had prior experience that might want to become volunteers. And I think we can certainly find ways to use them on Saturday duty or Sunday duty or things like that. But we need to reach out and look for other folks, because I think we're going to be limited just within the city of Cosmopolis to get enough folks to run an actual fire department the way it needs to be ran. We did get our hose and ladders tested. That's the first step in a long process of things that need to be brought up to standard. The next in line, I want to get our SCBAs done, tested, and they also need to be hydro tested. And that's going to cost about $3,124 to get both of those things done. So they're available when the guys are available to respond, that those devices could be used safely. So that needs to be the next thing that needs to get done. We also need to get our compressor tested. That's the compressor that fills those bottles full of air. We need to make sure that that air is safe for them to breathe. So that compressor needs to be tested annually to make sure that the air is clean for the folks to breathe when they're in a fire. The station needs a new water heater, and Public Works Director is working on that, looking at different options and pricing to see what we can do for that. I've been fortunate to have a person from the community that wants to volunteer his time and come into the station and help us go through and organize and inventory all the stuff that we have at the station. We have a lot of stuff that we need to get rid of, but we need to inventory it and itemize it to make sure that we know what we're getting rid of, what we need to keep, what we can keep. And so that's going to be a big job. And this person has stepped up and he is excited to come in and do that. And I'm excited to have him. I think he'll do a great job for us. We also had another member of the community donate some money for another AED. And so we purchased another AED like we did for the police cruiser last month. And this one's going to be hung in City Hall. So that's great news. And thank you very much to those community members for donating that money. I think that's about it. I just want to publicly thank the city of Aberdeen for protecting our community. I know that we are paying them, but it is added work on those firefighters, and they have done a tremendous job for our community. And I think they deserve a huge amount of thanks for covering our folks the way that they have done that. So I just want to thank them. And I believe that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Mark, how much do you think, do you estimate right now the cost would be for that panel testing for new members?
Well, I have it at around $300, but I don't know if that medical physical covers the respiratory and chest x-ray. And I think we need to talk about that as a public safety committee to see where we want to go. I will try to get a price on that this week or early next week, but right now I have it at about $300 for an onboarding of one person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you feel comfortable if I recommended a $600 per person testing, or?
I would, Miles, I would feel comfortable with that. I think that would cover our onboarding costs.
So part of the reason why I want to do that and kind of build a buffer into it, because there's a little bit of unknown cost right now, but part of it is I'm afraid we wait till third week of June before we start being able to put people through testing. It's going to take a long time to get people started. So, you know, building on that cushion, I know I talked to Darren earlier today, and we can, Darren, you can correct me, which fund would that come out of for the testing?
That'll come out of the fire department budget. That would be under professional services. Is that right, Julie?
Yes, that's correct.
And so we have funds in that account essentially to cover new members, is what I understand.
Basically, it's all coming out of the general fund and within their budget. So they will have a tight budget, unfortunately, with us having to pay Aberdeen this year. But hopefully we'll be able to get through it and we'll make it happen.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion right now to approve at this point with the unknowns, the $600 per person for the onboarding process for new fire department personnel.
I second it.
I might add that we are looking at 5 folks right now, so that might help.
That was going to be my first question. Moved by
Yeah.
Councilmember Wenzel and seconded by Councilmember Marcus to approve up to $600 per individual to get testing done to get onto the fire department with an eligible 5 currently and hopefully more coming on shortly.
Mayor Kyle, I'd like to add one other thing.
Sure, we're under discussion, so it's open.
I just want to reach out to, and this is something that Councilmember Wenzel and I talked about today. I just want to make it clear that the old guard that was at the fire station and that did a great job for the community. Again, I don't want to lose that history, but we need to draw a line in the sand. And City Administrator Raines and I have kind of discussed this, and we've kind of set a date of June 15th. For those folks, if they want to come back, we're going to treat it like a leave of absence. After June 15th, those folks are going to have to go through all the steps that our new recruits are going to have to go through. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
It has been moved and seconded. I don't know if I mentioned that. Miles moved, seconded by Candace, I believe. Any further discussion?
Kyle, I just have a question for Mark. If, as of June 15th, prior to that, if the old guard come back on, does that mean that they will not have to go through a physical at all?
That's correct. I think they've proven their ability to, you know, do the job over time. And I think we just give them that time, but we need to draw a line to where we're moving ahead here, and they need to jump through the steps as everybody else from that point on.
Well, as long as you're comfortable with it, Mark, then that's fine.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, clarification, Candace, though, but I mean, of course, any of the firefighters who are on the department will need to maintain a level of physical ability and health that will be kind of an ongoing, but it's not that full physical
Gotcha.
process.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So passed. Thank you, Chief. Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
We will move on to, unless unless our DC is sitting in the attendees somewhere. Do not see him. Our chief is out of the area, so that's why he's not able to attend tonight. We will move on to, yeah,
Mr. Mayor, sorry to
calling
interrupt.
on you next.
Officer Mescal is in the queue. I don't know if he might be here on behalf of the deputy chief.
Yeah, you know, we can wing it and we'll let him at least decline it if needed. Officer Mescal, do you feel like speaking for the department and your coworkers tonight and giving us a report? Not to put you on the spot. Not hearing him. He may be away. We wasn't expecting that. So if needed, we can bring him back in a little bit later. But thank you for pointing that out. And I'm going to you next anyways. News from the court. Court Administrator Tracy Dugas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The court doesn't have a report this month.
Okay. Who am I missing? Public Works Superintendent Jeff Nations.
All right, I got a few things this week. As you guys probably know, Lions Club, we've been having it open and close, open and close. We had to shut it down over the winter due to vandalism. They ripped out all the fixtures, graffitied everything inside. We had a Santa camp put there for the winter. We reopened the restrooms the beginning of May after we replaced everything, all brand new fresh coat of paint, and 24 hours later they were destroyed again. So we are working with the police department to try to find a security camera that is going to fit our needs. Kind of left that Santa can there for now, just in case they get destroyed again. We may have to end up closing it, but we're working on trying to keep them open. I know people want them open because it's a lot better than going into a Santa camp. So we're working on it. We had also a couple new water and sewer connections late last month and this month. One on Corbin and one on Stanford that we put in for some new homes going in. Also cemetery this time of year. We've spent numerous hours mowing that cemetery already this year. With all these holidays in a short period of time, grass growing as fast as you can cut it. We're trying to keep it nice for all these holidays for these folks to go and see their loved ones. Just takes a lot of time and a lot of hours to keep it looking good. That kind of goes same for the parks. We're trying to knock those down as fast as we can, but it's just given the time of the year with the rain and the sun, it's hard to keep up on it, but we're doing the best we can. Last thing, water meters. We haven't put a water meter in 2 months, all because grass is growing. We have to do all the rest of the stuff in the city. So simply, we just don't have enough people and we have to keep up with the rest of our duties. So we're doing the best we can. We got to get back at doing those real soon because we're actually losing revenue off of 400 water meters not being installed. So we're going to need some help down there. We're just doing the best we can. That's all I got.
Thank you, Jeff. Didn't meet anybody. Mayor's report. I will try to keep it as limited as possible, but it's rare.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, did I miss
you,
someone?
Attorney Steve Johnson?
Oh, yes, Attorney Steve Johnson. Sorry to skip over you.
I don't really have a report, but I did have a question.
Yes, sir.
Last meeting, you tabled the selection of the RFA Planning Commission or committee. Are you planning to do that tonight or?
Yes, I was going to, if it's appropriate, include that into my mayor's report of my appointments.
Okay, thank you.
I'll start with that one. So I reached out to the council to see if anybody had interest in serving on the Regional Fire Authority Committee, and heard back from Councilmember Cummings and spoke to Councilmember Wenzel this afternoon. And so I am appointing Councilmember Wenzel and Cummings to the Regional Fire Authority committee. They will be joining myself as the other voting member, as well as consistent input from City Administrator Rains and Fire Chief Tarabakia whenever the next meeting is scheduled. We do not have one on the calendar at the moment. As soon as we do, you will all be notified, and I will let Chair McMillan, excuse me, know so that you are included into the email list. Another thing, I am currently in City Hall. I wanted to kind of get used to this chair again and get back to what it feels like in here and check the signal. But as of next meeting, we will be returning to City Hall for meetings. Changes in the OPMA, the Open Public Meetings Act, do require a physical location for the public to attend. So at least myself will be in City Hall next month. Julie and I have been working on finding a suitable video system and viewing option for within council chambers. We have to find a camera system that works. There's also a way to display anybody who is on Zoom who is not in attendance. So we're working at options and looking at a few different local cities and what they do this week again and comparing. Of course, we will still have a virtual option. The council or the public are not required to be in person. I would appreciate if the council were here, but I understand if they are unable to, that we will be moving back in person and looking at those options. So that will start next month. We will have an in-person area. Also at that time, because of the Zoom to in-person change, we are going to have to adjust how public comment works. It won't be as easy to just pull someone into the meeting if they have a comment from our attendees. So we will either have the option to comment in person within City Hall, or if somebody has a comment, they can send it in and we'll do like many other cities have and have an opportunity for them to send in a comment prior to the meeting that we can read within the meeting. That way that the public who's in attendance and the council all get a chance to hear those. After a number of residents asked if we were going to be scheduling a citywide garage sale again this year, I spoke to staff and some community members, and we chose June 25th as the date for that. The city's not facilitating the organization of it, but we have created a Facebook event and have options for individuals to share their sale information, and we'll be promoting it more as the date approaches. But if we have that date, anybody who is looking to do a garage sale, if they all hold it the same day, that's just more traffic through town, through our local businesses, and through all of the other sales throughout the area. So it benefits everybody. Coming up next month, the week prior to the citywide garage sale, I'll be attending the Association of Washington Cities State Conference in Vancouver. There are still spaces available if council members would like to attend, and I cannot overstate the value of this conference as far as learning, networking with other officials. It is an amazing learning experience. So if council members would like to attend, contact Julie to get registered. I'm paying for my own way, but we do have training funding available for council members. So that is in the budget. If the council or the city administrator or someone would want to attend, but it is an amazing few days of learning. I have submitted a letter of support for funding through the for the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs to continue the Tri-City Behavioral Health Navigator position. It's my opinion and of the local police that Delana Moore has been an asset to the entire community and hope to continue that position. So they're going to be submitting that grant funding coming up. So I gave them my letter of support earlier this week. Building updates. We've had multiple meetings with Harbor Architect since the last time the council met, including emails and back and forth, reviewing updates to the municipal building plans. Now, for those unaware in the public, the project had to be delayed. Of course, pandemic, supply chain issues, construction costs. We went out to bid on a prior design and it, not surprisingly, came in above budget. So we've looked at a number of adjustment options and reviewed them with City Hall and police staff to ensure that we're meeting the needs of the departments as well as fulfilling the goals approved by voters. So we're getting a little bit closer to hopefully what a final design is going to be, and then we'll be able to go back to bid on that. So hopefully we'll get some updates soon. Nothing finalized just yet. When we do get some sort of finalized design, we'll let the council know and review it, because more eyes on this, the better. As Chief Tarabakia and Finance Director had said, that we are paying Aberdeen, of course, for our fire service at the moment. Of course, we're glad to hear that we've got some volunteers on deck looking to come onto staff. And as again, everyone's aware, we've been paying the city of Aberdeen, and that is at the same cost that's passed on to Aberdeen residents. So the city of Cosmopolis currently has an approximate $6 monthly fee for our services. Aberdeen's is approximately $29. So we are paying that $29 per user within the city. As of now, those have been covered out of costs out of the city and fire department budgets, but we are going to have to look at increasing our local fees just to cover that, so we're not diminishing us anymore. So the sooner we get people back on, the less chance there's going to be that we're going to have to pass those on to residents. And that's all that I have. We will move on to new business with item A, resolution 2022-01, purchasing policy. Attorney Steve Johnson, can you let us know what we're looking at?
Okay, this is a resolution that would establish a policy to authorize the mayor to execute contracts without getting city council approval first, and it sets limits on each type of contract. Section 1 sets a limit of $15,000 or less for public works projects. Section 2 sets a limit of $10,000 or less for personal service contracts and other contracts. And Section 3 sets a limit of $15,000 or less for purchases. And in all three categories, these things would have to be in the budget. That's the first criteria. Then the dollar limit would come into play. And in the case of public works projects, it would either have to go out to bid or go through the small works roster process. So this would not allow department heads or the mayor to go out and just buy things that aren't in the budget. That's the first thing that has to be met.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, again, that was one thing. This is not a carte blanche, go buy whatever you want. This is items that the council had already approved through the budget. What is the council's pleasure?
I make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Wenzel, second by Councilmember Cummings to approve resolution 2022-01, adjusting the purchasing policy within the city. Any discussion?
Yeah, I think it's important for the public and for the council to know, we're not handing a gold card to Jeff and Mark to get cool pinstripes on the truck or anything. This is to basically expedite the process for when they need things. And for example, Mark has some testing, like I think it's for the air compressor or the air tanks, but it's going to be about $3,000 or so range, and it's either not scheduled until, or the final estimate's not till a few days, or we couldn't get it scheduled for a while. But anyway, when things like this come up, you know, we might make a schedule for when we can get the estimate and come out and look at it, and then we got to wait all the way until the next council meeting, and then they can make the appointment to do it. It's putting a big burden on getting things done that otherwise we could get the estimate, get this done. It's in the budget. And so things like that, you know, we've already decided that, you know, these are things that are budgeted for. It's just we need to get them done. So I just want to expedite the process so we're not hanging out for several months in some cases for getting things like fire equipment tested.
Getting it wrong is that it's for public works projects.
Each department has a subsection.
What? Okay. Is there public works projects on the calendar coming up that have sparked this interest in increasing this? Or is it an overall thing based off of larger purchases like this, as far as like the fire department stuff? It's I think the last time this was increased and then decreased, there was a specific public works project going on that was known behind closed that was coming up. So that, I guess that's what happens.
Can I give Cody an example here?
Yeah.
Okay. The gator that was approved, that we ordered, it was $13,000. Same thing with there. We ordered the gator. It's sitting there waiting to come to us. And then I would have to come back to council and ask for it again for the second time. That's kind of what they're talking about in that sense. I'm not talking about a project that we've got going on. It's something that's already been passed in the budget. I think you guys have already okayed it once. We buy it and then we have to ask again. I think that's maybe a little bit more clear.
Yep, that makes more sense. I'm at it. There's multiple levels. So yep, yeah. If it's already approved, that's one thing.
Already approved. That was all of them. It was already in the budget for the 15, the 10, and the 5.
Well, and I might add as well, this also covers department head purchasing for all departments, as long as the item that they're purchasing is in the budget. Before the limit was $2,000, now it's $5,000. So for like this testing, for instance,
right.
Mark was trying to get that scheduled, and some of those were like 2,500. So we had to wait, go to the council, and so and the way things have gone up so much, it's not giving anybody any more purchasing authority other than what's already included in the budget.
Right. Yeah. I battled that for a while, so I get it.
Yeah.
I have a question for Steve. Under section 3, letter A, I believe it is, there's I believe it was in the first line, it reads something about all the other sections of that read approved by city council. And in that particular one, it just says approved by city. Is that a typo?
Yes, I think you're right. It should say city council.
Okay, I would like to make that change. If that's the only thing I have to offer to it is per city council approval.
That is just a grammatical change. That doesn't require an amendment, correct?
Okay.
Or does that change the narrative of the resolution, Steve, enough to require an amendment?
Well, we might as well just go ahead and amend it. It's just cleaner that way.
Okay, there is a motion to amend resolution 2022-01 to adjust section 3, item A to say purchased by the city council. And clarify. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Ansett, second by Councilmember Bridges to adjust resolution, to amend resolution 2022-01. Any discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So passed. Discussion on the amended resolution. Further discussion. Hearing none. Good catch, Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Any opposed? So passed. Item B, Resolution 2022-02 for licenses for animal license fees. Attorney Johnson.
Yes, I was asked to draft this resolution to increase the fees that are charged for cat and dog licenses because they haven't been changed in a long time, I guess. And also to add a new license fee. In the municipal code, section 8.08.010, the ordinance states that the license fees will be set by the city council by resolution. So if you look at the code, you won't see the fees there. You have to go to the resolution. And currently, an altered dog or cat license is $3 per year. An unaltered dog or cat license is $15 a year. So if you look at section A, the altered dog or cat would go up $2 a year to $5. An unaltered dog or cat would go from $15 to $20 per year. And then a new license, which I think a lot of cities have, I know Hoquiam has, is a lifetime license. So instead of having to get an annual license and which can add up if you have an animal that lives 15, 16 years, you can go and get a lifetime license for $25, and then you're done for the life of that pet. And it only applies to altered dogs or cats. And I don't think our current resolution addresses service animals or service dogs. This makes it clear that a license for a service dog is free. And then in subsection E, an additional change is right now there's no fee to replace a lost or damaged dog or cat tag. And if someone were to lose their pet's tag, they wouldn't have to pay the whole fee to get it replaced. It would be $3.
Thank you, Steve. What is the council's pleasure on resolution 2022-02?
I make a motion that we pass 2022-02 as stated.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Marcus, second by Councilmember Cummings to approve resolution 2022-02 for animal license fees. Any discussion? And again, this is just one of those city policies that hasn't been touched in a while, and we kind of looked at it and what other cities are doing and realized that we were behind the times. So if no further discussion by the council, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So passed. HDR agreement was pulled, and the professional services agreement with AHBL. Darren, if you want to give a review.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is for a professional services agreement with AHBL. They're the consultant that's going to be doing our Shorelines Master program review. This review is required by Department of Ecology to make sure our current program and plan meets the new laws of the state. As you know, they like to change these things more often than probably need to be done. but they are giving us grant funding as well to take care of our expenses in this. So the city of Cosmopolis, together with the cities of Holcomb and Aberdeen, will be partnering again to take care of this all at the same time. We all worked together taking care of this back in 2017. So we'll be doing this again starting here shortly. This has to be completed by June 30th of 2023. The total amount is $11,200.
Say that total cost again?
$11,200.
That's what I read, and I think you cut out for just a second, so I thought it said 1,200. So, what is the council's pleasure on the professional service agreement with AHBL?
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with AHBL.
I second.
Moved by Councilmember Wenzel and second by Councilmember Marcus to approve the professional services agreement with AHBL. What does that stand for? Does that stand for anything, or is that? It doesn't. It looks like that's their professional. So for the Shoreline Master Program, which is required by the state. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So passed. That is the agenda, or the end of agenda items this evening. So we'll move to council comments. We will start with Councilmember Marcus.
Nothing this evening.
Councilmember Cummings. I have to look around the table to remember where everyone sits, just to be sure we go in order. Councilmember Cummings.
No comment.
Councilmember Ansich.
Yeah, as Public Works Director, Nations stated earlier, he is going to be needing some help down there in Public Works. And I know Darren mentioned the other day when I was down at City Hall signing vouchers about scheduling a Public Works Committee meeting. And just so the rest of the council knows, and to surprise Julie a little bit, something has to happen down there. I don't have the answers of how it's going to get funded, but we got to get him some help. So that's all I got. And if anybody comes up with ideas on how to do that, great.
Thanks, Jim. Councilmember Bridges.
Jim actually kind of stole it from me. That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to speak up for Jeff. They've been struggling for not just this year. I mean, years and years, and we keep dumping stuff into other areas, and then we get in hard times, and then they get pushed to the side because everything else seems to be more important. And when we hear it from the time, as far as, oh, this looks this way, that looks that way, but they don't have the people to do it, and it needs to be a priority on our list. It has to be. I mean, it's not, you can't shame the guys when you don't have enough guys. So we gotta, whatever meetings need to take place as far as to find that funding, it's extremely important. So that's my comment.
Thank you. I agree with both of you. Councilmember Wenzel.
Yeah, I got several things to talk about tonight to hold us up from going home. So yeah, I agree with Jim and Cody. This was something that was brought up in our Parks Committee meeting. Actually, we talked about it last week with Linda as well. And we've been talking, with Darren. I think all of us at different points in time have talked about how we're going to do this, and Julie as well. And I think something we need to explore is seeing if we can get WCC, which is Washington Conservation Corps, seeing if we can get some funding for having some of their staff come in here and do some of the work that Jeff's crew is having to get pulled off and do. And I think what Linda has started at Highland Park, I think we can look towards expanding that type of work. One thing we could do is coordinate with National Trails Day, which I think is in June every year, but we could have volunteers come into places like Macarenco and really make some positive impact. So Jeff and his crew aren't having to go in there and do that intensive trimming. That trimming takes a lot of hands. And so if, if we had 10, 15 people trimming up in Macarenco, Jeff and the crew wouldn't even have to touch it for the year, except for storm damage. So I know we have a couple dedicated volunteers around town that do a lot of the work, but I think a lot of us community members, myself definitely included, we could all pitch in a little bit here and there and really take that load off. And then building upon that, I think that needs to be our priority for all of us council members, is to find that funding and work towards that funding. We're either getting a part-time position and moving some other duties around, or trying to get that full meal deal permanent position. So anyway, I think we're all in agreement. That's probably our next focus. The other thing I wanted to say tonight is obviously Linda and the Highlands volunteers have done a phenomenal job up there securing funding and putting in a lot of work on a volunteer day a couple weeks back there. The park looks great. Very excited to see what comes in the future, and there's definitely some volunteer opportunities coming up when the equipment finally comes in from the orders. They're going to need, Jeff and the crew is going to need a hand putting that in, so I just ask people be ready for that. And then I wanted to thank our community members that donated funds for the AEDs. That's something we brought up several months ago, and it took a lot longer than we wanted, but Mark did an awesome job getting professional grade AEDs. So I'm happy that we didn't put that job in my hands. He got better ones than I picked out. So thanks, Mark, for picking out the good ones and using that money wisely so we could get 2 of them. So want to thank everyone involved in that. So that's what I have tonight.
Just a note, National Trails Day is coming up very soon. It's on June 4th. So if Parks wants to do something on that, and you guys can just let me know. We can coordinate it as we can if we need to start publicizing some sort of work parties or something. It is just a couple weeks away. So if that's something you guys want to do, we can work on getting something for that coming up for that weekend or whenever. Next up is public comments. This is time for the public to comment on anything they would like, city related. We do ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes, and we will open the floor. If you raise your hand within the audience, we can get you in. I saw Robinson, I'm assuming that's Ray. I saw your hand was up for quite a while, so we'll go to you first. And you have 3 minutes, sir. I assume, sir.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Can.
Okay, so 2 things. One, throughout the meeting when you have votes and stuff, you have yays and nays, but you never have a abstain vote. And it's kind of curious because you can see on the panel who's responding and who's not. And it's just kind of interesting to who is and who isn't. But just, it's not, I don't think it's required, but just would, maybe could go something down the road. So that being said, second thing is the elephant in the room. We have a council member that no longer lives in our community, has not for the last 4 or 5 months. And I just don't understand how an individual can represent us and not live in the community, no matter how long he used to live here or how long what their association is. The RCW says a resident and a registered voter are the 2 requirements to be on the city council. If that's all it is and that meets the requirements, then good enough. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Ray. Next up, Carl Sparing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Carl Sperry, 1006 Bell Drive. I'd like to compliment Chief Tabakia for some of the things he's putting in place for the new hiring process on the volunteers. I think the physical examinations, the physical agility test been done, well, agility test been done forever, I think, but physical exams and the 5-panel drug screening, I think those are really good things. A question for you, Mr. Mayor, is that type of process going to be for all new city employees?
No. I mean, police, yes, but I mean, physical activity is different between departments. So each department has separate policies.
But as far as the physical examination, a medical examination and the 5-panel drug screen.
There is not a standard policy in place regarding that.
Okay, thank you.
It will be nice to see faces again so that we don't have to kind of guess just on what the Zoom information says. Linda, the floor is yours. You've got 3 minutes.
Can you hear me?
We got you.
Thank you. Linda Springer, 1203 Dundee. I would like to add on to what the councilman suggested. I have had the opportunity over the last year to work very closely with the Parks Department, with Jeff. I need to tell you, he has a full plate and he needs to be supported. You, as a city, really truly have a responsibility to this community to bring on another person for his crew. This is a big project. We've raised $150,000 come next month to complete this part. We're going to move forward and help raise additional funds for this city. He needs the help. We have volunteers that are going to help him with each project within that park. My husband and another person, once a park is completed, is going to adopt it and mow it. And this is something as we move forward and people have pride and see this community working together. I think this is something that can happen with other parks. It happens in Hoquiam and it can happen here in Cosmopolis. Again, I would strongly encourage you to support Jeff, support his crew, and bring another person on. It's way past due. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Next up, Phipps. One of the Phipps. You have 3 minutes.
This is Terry Phipps, 804 3rd Street. First of all, did you say that we already, Mark, did you say we have you have 3 volunteers lined up total?
No, I have 5.
5, okay.
Yeah.
My main question, or I don't know, statement tonight is, we only have one more meeting before the 4th of July. I would highly encourage City Council to stop the fireworks this year, to just do what you have to do, that there's no fireworks in the city of Cosmopolis. I know that there are a lot of them and I've enjoyed them too, but that's a very busy day and we're not going to be a first priority. I think it's something the council really needs to look at and quickly.
Thank you. Can I talk to that real quick?
Sure.
Yeah, if you like, I was going to comment on it.
Because the council should, all the council should know this for this discussion. So I helped the city with Westport with their firework ban in my other job, which was enacted this year. So if the council does move for a firework ban, it has to happen before the allowed period. The law, the RCW is the 28th through the 5th, so June 28th through July 5th. But also it's not enacted until the next year. So if the council does enact something this year with a total ban, it wouldn't go into effect till next year. However, Kyle, you might have authority, I think you did it last year, to impose a temporary ban.
That's
So
right.
this, it's too late to do it now when we
Yeah,
don't have a fire department.
Well, the, so the
Did the
city.
previous council not vote on that? I thought, I'm sorry, I thought, did the previous codes, I know it was an issue we had discussed when I was chief fire department. I thought the council was going to vote on that issue, because like Miles said, it needed to be enacted the year previous for the council to be able to enact in the following years. Did the previous council not act on that? I thought they did.
We did. It was, in 2015, we have municipal code in place that would allow for an emergency ban on fireworks. So after speaking with Chief Tarabakia and looking at kind of weather conditions, if it is too dry for that type of conditions, then I can enact an emergency ban on fireworks. Any sort of, again, full ban, like Councilmember Wenzel said, does take a year to go in place. If that is something that the council would like to look into, then you'll have to get with me very soon, because we'll have to go through a couple different readings of that, and there'll have to be special meetings scheduled if that is something that were the wishes of the council. We have a very little time to do a full, but we do have the ability to do a emergency ban if the conditions are too dangerous.
Well, my house is always going to catch on fire if a rocket hits it. And a lot of my neighbors will too. It's just something I want you to consider. I think a city without a working fire department shouldn't be allowing fireworks. And that's it. Oh, I had one more quick thing. You might want to check a resource of Cosmopolis School as far as your audio visual equipment for your meetings. They taught online for a year and a half, so they might have some equipment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's see. And again, like I said before a little bit, the biggest issue is finding a way to show everyone who's in City Hall and out, and just the size of the room. So it's we've got some good options. So we'll figure it out, and fingers crossed it'll all be set up. We'll have some sort of iteration of it next month. Ann Peary, you were up. You've got 3 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Can.
Okay, I just wanted to make a quick comment. I've been really quiet at all the last of these meetings. I totally agree with Mr. Robinson. Cody Bridges does not need to be on the council. He does not live here, and it's just making the citizens look stupid.
And we're not gonna do name calling this evening here, or
I did not do no name calling. It's a farce, and it doesn't need to be there.
Thank you for your comment. Apologize, I was muted. Seeing no more hands raised within the audience this evening. It is 8:15. We'll call it one of our earlier meetings. So you are all adjourned. Thank you.